Hi, 7i students. I'm recording this video for all of you, especially those of you who feel a little confused or a little stuck with the new assignment. I will be recording these videos as often as possible, especially the next few days since the novel is new to us, and I will be completing the homework with you with this video. So if you would like to complete the homework with me, then you can follow along with this video. If you have already completed the homework but you want to come back and read it with me to make sure you understood the novel, you could also do that. And my goal for this video is to complete what was suggested on this pacing guide. So if you already opened up this assignment, thank you for paying attention to that. And you will notice that by the end of the week, you will finish chapter 1, but the suggested pacing for today was to complete the vocabulary, to scan the questions, and to read 7 to 8 pages each day and try to complete one text-dependent question. So that's going to be my goal. Thanks if you attended to the optional Google Hangouts. I am going to be holding at the beginning of the week one of these Hangouts or Zoom sessions so we can complete the homework for that day together and get you started for the week. So really try your best to come to those sessions so you could participate with me. Since this way it's only one-sided, and it's nice when I'm able to know what your questions are so that we can answer them more directly. Okay, so let's get started. You should have noticed that your assignment was posted today at 8:35 in the morning along with the video announcement. Remember, I'm creating these videos. I actually don't like to hear my voice or record myself very much, so if you think, wow, she just does it for fun, no, I'm doing this for you. So please make sure you're looking at all of our resources. And if you look at under classwork, I am going to start organizing our classwork, so you might have to scroll down and you'll see collection 6, and that's where you will see our work right now. So right now you should be working on Roll of Thunder chapter 1. That's where I opened my assignment and it took me to this page right here. Okay, so as you can see, the first step that we're looking at is looking up the vocabulary words for these two words. And remember that there's a few different options for you. I know that I like to use Google sometimes. So like I would copy and paste that word. And I know that I have to look for a synonym. So I'm gonna type that word and just put synonyms. And then here I want to double check that it's the correct definition first. So abnormally thin or weak, especially because of illness or lack of food. And if I go back to my notes, feeble and wasted, yep, that's pretty similar. So let's look at the synonyms. I have thin, skeletal, bony, wasted. So any of those would work. I'm just going to type into thin, skeletal. So skeletal means you're so thin, you're like a skeleton. Then for the image, a lot of you know different ways of inserting the image. For now, I'm just going to click this Explore button. I'm going to type in the word. Okay, we have images here on the right. Some pretty scary ones. So just choose one that you feel like is most appropriate. I see this one with a horse. I'm going to click that one. Since he's so thin, you can see his bones. Okay, I'm going to resize it so it doesn't take over my whole page. Then I'm going to do the same steps for the word maverick. So maverick, an unorthodox or independent-minded person. Double check. Yep, independent individual. So we have individualist, nonconformist, free spirit. Individualist. Now, when I tried this earlier, this one's tricky because when I first put maverick for images, looks like there's a car. So I'm going to put like maverick. I'm going to try personality. So now I'm looking for someone who's independent, free-spirited, I'm not really seeing what I want, so sometimes I just type in the synonyms and that helps me. So I'm gonna put free spirit for the synonyms. Maybe we should stick to this horse theme, huh? This horse looks like it's a free spirit. Okay, now I have my 2 images. So see, vocabulary is all done. Now, what I see next, I'm going to click out of here so it's out of my way. I see that we have the 2 audio files. Those are really important. When you open them, I think it's helpful because then you can hear the voice.
Chapter 1. Chapter 1. Little man, would you come on? You keep it up and you're going to make us late.
So as you can see, part of the reason why I think it's really important is because this story is written with a different dialect, which means like they speak a little differently than you might be used to. So it might be helpful to listen to the audio. For the sake of this one, I'm just going to read it myself since I'm going to pause and ask questions. But if you're reading it on your own, I would recommend, you know, having the audio set up in one tab, playing it, and then having your following along with your text here. That way you can make sure that you're taking notes if you want to, and you have both set up ready to go. But before I get started, let's look at the questions. So number 1 says, how would you describe Cassie? Why? Why is the land so important to the Logan family? Who's TJ? How is he described? And why does little man get in trouble? Why does he do this? Now I can keep those ideas fresh in my mind. Also here it says, a tip is if you stop reading before finishing the chapter, highlight the sentence where you stopped and write down the time from the audio file so you can continue this later. Also, highlight parts of the text that make you wonder and write down questions on the right. So that says here. We'll practice doing that. I told you that my goal is to read 7 pages today, so I'm just actually going to identify where page 7 ends. Here's page 2. So I'm going to keep going to find page 7. Okay, here's page 7. So here's my goal. So I'm just going to highlight this last sentence since that's my goal for this video, to read to page 7. Okay. Now it looks like I'm ready to get started. Just know that like you could also add your own highlights. I would maybe add a different color if I wanted to, but I think it's important to keep in mind because that way you can take notes as you go along. Like maybe anytime I see anything that describes Cassie, maybe I should come up with the color for that. So let's say I'm just going to highlight that orange. And then I'm going to focus on that question for now. Okay. Here we go. Chapter 1. Little man, would you come on? You keep it up, you're going to make us late. My youngest brother paid no attention to me. Grasping more firmly his newspaper-wrapped notebook and his tin can lunch of cornbread and oil sausages, he continued to concentrate on the dusty road. He lagged several feet behind my other brothers, Stacy and Christopher John, and me, attempting to keep the rusty Mississippi dust from swelling with each step and drifting back upon his shiny black shoes and the cuffs of his corduroy pants by lifting each foot high before setting it gently down again. Always meticulously neat, 6-year-old little man never allowed dirt or tears or stains to mar anything he owned. Today was no exception. So it looks like we're already introduced to the first character, little man, and you remember that if you ever want to like look up any words you could, so even if you wanted to see what does meticulously mean, and it shows that in a way that shows great attention to detail very thoroughly. So it looks like in this case it's being used to describe the fact that Little John cares a lot about the way that he looks. He never wants to like be dirty or stained. So that's interesting to know. Okay, let me go in. You keep it up and make us late for school. Mama's gonna wear you out, I threatened, pulling the exasperation at the high collar of the Sunday dress Mama had made me wear for the first day of school, as if that event were something special. It seemed to me that showing up at school at all on a bright August-like October morning made for running the cool forest trails and wading barefoot in the forest pond was concession enough. Sunday clothing was asking too much. Okay, I feel like this is giving me some personality from the main character. Her name we'll see is Cassie. So I'm going to start highlighting this orange so that I can keep this in mind. The fact that she does not want to wear orange her clothing like some special clothing for school because she doesn't feel like it's that special enough. Okay, let's keep going. Christopher John and Stacy were not too pleased about the clothing or school either. Only Little Man, just beginning his school career, found the prospects of both intriguing. So there's a little bit of information there because we hear more about some other characters. So far we have Christopher John, Stacy, and Little Man. And we've learned the most about Little Man, and just that the others weren't too excited about school either. Y'all go ahead and get dirty if y'all wanna, he replied. And you for sure might hear my 2-year-old in the background every now and then, so that's what you just heard, sorry. But it says, y'all go ahead and get dirty if y'all wanna, he replied, without even looking up from his studied steps. Me? I'm gonna stay clean. I bet your mama's gonna clean you. You keep it up, I grumbled. Okay, so I'm gonna highlight that orange because I feel like that also shows her personality. She's sounding like a typical older sibling, you know, threatening the younger sibling. Ah, Cassie, leave him be, Stacy admonished, frowning and kicking testily at the road. I ain't said nothing but... Stacy cut me a wicked look, and I grew silent. His disposition had been irritatingly sour lately. If I hadn't known the cause of it, I could have gotten very easily that he was, at 12, bigger than I, and that I had promised Mama to arrive at school looking clean and ladylike. Shoot, I mumbled finally, unable to restrain myself from further comment. It ain't my fault you gotta be in Mama's class this year. I'm gonna pause there. I find that part pretty interesting because it seems like she's blaming this bad mood on the fact that her brother has to be in his mom's class. So to me, that's a question I'm gonna ask right here, and I'm gonna add the notes. Why is Stacy so upset to have his mom as a teacher? Okay, let's keep going. Stacy's frown deepened and he jammed his fists into his pockets but said nothing. Christopher John, walking between Stacy and me, glanced uneasily at both of us but did not interfere. A short, round boy of 7, he took little interest in troublesome things, preferring to remain on good terms with everyone. Yet he was always sensitive to others, and now, shifting the handle of his lunch can from his right hand to his right wrist, and his smudged notebook from his left hand to his left armpit, he stuffed his free hands into his pockets and attempted to make his face as moody as Stacy's and as cranky as mine. But after a few moments, he seemed to forget that he was supposed to be grouchy and began whistling cheerfully. There was little that could make Christopher John unhappy for very long, not even the thought of school. I tugged again at my collar and dragged my feet in the dust, allowing it to stiff back onto my socks and shoes like gritty red snow. I hated the dress and the shoes, and there was little I could do in a dress, and as for the shoes, they imprisoned freedom-loving feet accustomed to the feel of warm earth. I think this gives me a strong description of the character too. The fact that she hates the fact that she has to wear a dress, and she says that her feet are imprisoned. I think that's a pretty deep description, knowing that she wants to run barefoot but she can't, so I think that's important. Cassie, stop that! Stacy snapped as the dust billowed in swirling clouds around my feet. I looked up sharply, ready to protest. Christopher John's whistling increased to a raucous, nervous shrill, and grudgingly I let the matter drop and trudged along in moody silence, my brothers growing as pensively quiet as I. Before us, the narrow sun-splotched road wound like a lazy serpent, dividing the high forest bank of quiet old trees on the left from the cotton field forested by giant green and purple stalks on the right. A barbed wire fence ran the length of a deep field stretching eastward for a quarter of a mile until it met the sloping green pasture that signaled the end of our family's 400 acres. An ancient oak tree on the slope, visible even now, was the official dividing mark between Loganland and the beginning of a dense forest. Beyond the protective fencing of the forest, vast farming fields, worked by a multitude of sharecropping families, covered 2/3 of a 10-square-mile plantation. That was Harlan Grangerland. Okay, a few things here to pause. Number 1, it does have like a little note here, like for sharecropping. So if you scroll all the way down, you'll see the little footnote. and it'll tell you what share copy means.